Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're jumping right into the world of auditing. And you can forget about those dusty old ledgers, because in an age of big data, modern auditors are basically high-tech detectives. So let's crack open their toolkit and see the incredible technology they're using to make sense of a massive digital world. I mean, just think about it for a second. A single big company can process billions with a B of transactions a year. Buried somewhere in that mountain of data could be one fraudulent entry, or maybe one critical error. So the question is, how do you find that one needle in a digital haystack the size of a planet? That's the real challenge here. And that challenge, well, that's what we call the digital haystack. Every single transaction, every email, every data point just keeps adding to the pile. You know, the days of an auditor sitting down with a physical book are long gone. The sheer volume of information just makes a manual check totally, completely impossible. Right. So if you can't sift through that haystack by hand, you're going to need a really powerful magnet. And for today's auditors, that magnet is technology. They've had to build an entirely new toolkit just to conquer this digital world. So let's open up this toolkit. We're talking about something called Automated Tools and Techniques, or ATTs for short. Honestly, you can think of these as the auditor's superpowers. These are the very things that let them sift through that digital haystack with incredible speed and, just as important, incredible precision. Okay, so this flowchart right here, this is going to be our roadmap for this whole explainer. We're going to start with the classic tools, the foundation, and then work our way all the way to the cutting-edge tech that's changing the entire game. First up, let's talk about the classic tools. Now, these are the real foundation of digital auditing. They might have been around for a little while, but trust me, they are still absolutely critical to how the job gets done. So looking at our map, we're starting with these two foundational pillars, test data on one side and audit software on the other. Let's break down what each of these actually does. So what exactly is test data? The best way to think about it is like being a secret shopper for a company's financial system. An auditor will intentionally feed it dummy transactions, things like an invoice for $1 million when the approval limit is only 10,000, just to see if the system catches it. It's a really direct way to check if the built-in controls are actually working like they're supposed to. But there's a pretty clear trade-off. It's a fantastic way to verify the system's logic, but you are putting fake data into a live working environment. So while it's a powerful technique, one little misstep could actually corrupt real financial info, which means it has to be handled with extreme care. You gotta get that dummy data back out. All right, the second classic tool is audit software. Now, if test data is for checking the system's logic, then audit software is for checking the data itself. It's basically a powerful digital magnifying glass that lets an auditor read all of a company's files and interrogate the data directly. And right here, auditors have a big choice to make. They can either use a standard off-the-shelf program, which is usually cheaper and faster, or if they're working for a massive client with really unique systems, they might actually develop bespoke software, custom-built from scratch to fit that client perfectly. Now, those classic tools are great, but they can really start to struggle with the sheer scale of modern business. So now let's level up. Let's talk about the real powerhouses, the tools that were built to handle truly massive data sets. And our roadmap now takes us right here to big data and data analytics. And this is where modern auditing really comes into its own. It's really important to get the difference here. Big data, well, that's the problem. It's that giant digital haystack we talked about. Data analytics, on the other hand, that's the solution. It's the sophisticated process of finding the needles, spotting the patterns, and pulling out the insights from all that raw material. And this is a complete and total game changer. It used to be that auditors would test a small sample of transactions and just kind of hope they'd find any problems. But data analytics lets them test everything. We're talking 100% of the data. It lets them instantly flag high-risk transactions or spot these subtle patterns of fraud that a human eye would just never, ever catch. So, where do we go from here? What's next? Well, the toolkit is always evolving. So now let's look ahead at the really cutting-edge technologies that are defining the future of the audit. We've now reached the final section on our roadmap, emerging technologies. And this is the really exciting frontier of the whole profession. There are three key technologies that are really leading the charge here: artificial intelligence, or AI, robotic process automation, or RPA, And yeah, this one might surprise you. Drones. Okay, so AI is what really shifts auditing from being reactive to being proactive. Instead of just finding last year's mistakes, AI can analyze years and years of data to learn what fraud looks like, and then it can predict where the next big risk might pop up. This lets auditors focus their efforts before a small problem gets way out of hand. Then there's RPA. The best way to think about RPA is like a tireless digital assistant for the audit team. Imagine a task like manually matching 10,000 invoices to 10,000 purchase orders. A software bot can do that in minutes without making a single mistake, freeing up the human auditor to investigate the really complex exceptions that the bot finds. And drones perfectly illustrate just how much this job is changing. Imagine you need to count all the inventory in a warehouse the size of a city block. Instead of a team spending a whole week on ladders with clipboards, you can now fly a drone down the aisles. It scans every single barcode and gives you a perfect count in just a few hours. I mean, that is a revolution in how you verify physical stuff. So when you put all these pieces together, the classic tools, the data powerhouses, and the new tech, the transformation is crystal clear. The audit is no longer just a reactive spot check of what happened in the past. It's becoming a proactive, comprehensive, and continuous analysis of an entire organization. But this whole transformation leaves us with a really fascinating question for the future. As these tools get smarter and more autonomous, we have to start asking, if an AI is responsible for auditing a company's finances, who then is responsible for auditing the AI? It's a thought that is definitely going to shape the next chapter of this entire profession. Thanks for watching.